What's the scariest thing that's happened to you on Halloween? My husband Jim and I own a business in a big old barn of a building which has 5 floors. Halloween was a Monday last year. We locked up the business at 5 p.m. and we went to an early dinner across town. Then we got a call from Sonatrol, our security monitoring company, at 6:30. A motion detector on the lower level. Then another. We left in a tearing hurry, but figured it's a bird or something. I went inside the main level upstairs and disarmed the alarm, and started fumbling noisily with the keys and the big iron gate, one of many that separate the floors at night. Jim checked the perimeter outside for signs of a break-in. Nothing, doors and windows intact. Dusk was long gone. The shadows had settled in and taken over. Just wardrobes loomed in the dark. Wardrobes and nothing more. Right? I headed down below to the location of the alarm, trusting Jim would follow. After all, it was a rat. Or a cat. Or a bird. I am accustomed to the building after dark, so I just turned on my phone light, not the overheads, and walked around boldly like I own the place. I looked in the corner with the motion detector. Nothing, just its red eye blinking mindlessly at me. No rats, no cats, no birds. I turned and went the other way while Jim poked around a few aisles over. And there it was. A burglary kit sitting in the middle of the floor. Bolt cutters, a fire extinguisher, just sitting there, waiting. I have never gotten a bigger case of sheer terror so fast. After all, there was no broken window or door. So he was still there. In the dark. With me. I hissed, Jim, please, 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 and he didn't hear me. I literally couldn't scream, just like in those stupid goddamn dreams. My voice stuck. Just me, the spotlit burglary tools, and a hostile presence lurking in the dusty shadows watching while I whispered for someone to save me. Finally, Jim wondered why I had taken root in the hallway and came to see. He saw what I was frozen pointing at, and was like, OF. We bolted out the front door to call 911, and waited. And we abandoned the building to the burglar. An eternal 5 minutes later the police showed up and were initially pretty unimpressed with our find of the crowbar and fire extinguisher. Until we pulled up the security footage that revealed the actual horror, the man who planted the kit there. So this guy is built like a lean, mean, brick house. He'd crouched on a landing behind a bookcase when we closed, and watched me and my staff lock up. Bided his time. Then, calm as could be, he walked out and went to the men's restroom in the hallway downstairs. That area isn't set for motion detect for a variety of reasons. He spent a while in there moving around with the door open. He constructed the mask using one of ours, and a fake flower wreath to hold it on. Purple plastic clematis. He looked right into the camera barefaced, and then put the mask on, stared at it fixedly in his mask for a time and finally pulled his gloves on. He stacked a few solid body vintage suitcases in front of a tall iron gate and hopped right over like it was nothing. He ran down the hall and looped the floor. He ran back into the hall, and moved a ladder to hop back to the other side of the gate and, bizarrely, just repeated this whole thing a few times. Then he went to the basement. Wormed over a 15-inch gap over yet another iron gate. Back to the hall again. Stared into the camera more. Repeat. He was moving fast up and over, back and forth, upstairs and downstairs. Parkour style almost. Then he got the tools out and peeled apart one of our steel lock boxes with a crowbar, and stole a handful of our keys to access showcases. At this point he heard me fumbling with the gate and keys upstairs. He ditched the stolen keys and tools and hid, watching me while he waited in the dark. We exited to call 911, and he ran back to the basement. In the basement there is access to a dirt tunnel that circles the perimeter of the building. He broke the door open and entered. Spiders the size of dinner plates live there. He had no light. It's muddy into 4K. It's, in a word, petrifying. There is a tiny exit hatch, if you walk the whole thing and take the multiple turns, that dumps you into the busy kitchen of a restaurant, whereupon one would need to stroll past the line cooks, out into the restaurant proper, and then one could leave their front door. When we found it, there was a clear entrance into the tunnel but no exit tracks. No muddy footprints, nobody walking out on the restaurant cameras, and the cooks noticed nothing. Reviewing the footage, timing it all, tracing his path from camera to camera and searching the building carefully took hours. By the end, all of us including the police were starting to lose our collective cool and freak out. There was no chill, when even the guys with guns were rattled. After all, where the F did he go? Jim and the 2 officers had no choice but to walk the dirt tunnel. The cops took one look and were like, absolutely not. Jim insisted, and so they made him walk point. They made it about half the tunnel before the cops were like, F no, you are leaving with us and we are gonna review more footage from the restaurant where there are no spiders and F this. Jim got the okay from them to board up both ends of the tunnel. Which he did, solidly.